Welcome to the High Vibration Living podcast. I'm your host, Chef Whitney Aronoff. Thank you so much for being here today. We are doing another solo episode where I'm answering the culinary and health supportive questions you've sent in through email and Instagram. So thank you so much for reaching out and sharing questions that I can answer here on the podcast. If you ever have a culinary, wellness, health-focused question, anything having to do with high vibration living or high vibration cooking, you can send me a DM on Instagram at Whitney Aronoff. And you can also visit chefwhitneyaronoff.com or starseedkitchen.com and send a message through the site with questions that you would like us to answer on the podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. First question is cooking with filtered water. Such a great question. And yes, I cook with filtered water in my own home, and I do my best in my client's home. It really depends the accessibility that you have to filtered water. So I went ahead and had an underwater filtration system installed in my kitchen under my sink. Absolutely worth it. Underwater sink filtration systems range around $1,700 to $2,000 and up, but it really saves you long-term in having to go to water stores and buy large containers of water and having them in the house at all times. The other thing is once you go ahead and do the under the sink filtration system, you're going to be much more likely to cook with filtered water because you have plentiful access. I know when I was going to Pristine Hydro or Citizen Water here in Orange County, and I was buying those large 5-gallon glass containers, bringing 5 or 6 home at a time, constantly putting them on a stand, and really, I only used that for drinking water. It was so precious and hard for me to collect, as well as expensive to collect, that I didn't want to spend the extra money to cook with it. I would use it for making bone broths and soups, but I wasn't using it to steam and blanch my vegetables, hard boil my eggs in those capacities, which it's definitely worth doing. Now that I have the under the sink filtration system, I use filtered water for everything. Like I mentioned, when I hard boil my eggs, I always use filtered water because I don't know how the water is affecting the shell, which therefore then affects the egg itself. When I make pasta or rice, I absolutely use filtered water because my food's absorbing the water. Same with soaking my rice or any grains or any beans. I wash them with filtered water. I soak them with filtered water. I cook them with filtered water. There's nothing that goes on my stove that doesn't use the filtered water. I don't have many edible plants at this time. I only have one, and it's a variety of mint, but I use the filtered water when I water the mint. So it's a lot easier to do when you have access to the underwater filtration system. And it's been a dream of mine my whole life to be able to install one like that. I'm someone that often had to move every year or every other year out of apartments. So it never felt like it was something attainable, but these under the sink filtration systems are movable. So if you're in an apartment, if you're renting, you can absolutely buy them, have them installed, and the place that you purchase them from will give you referrals of plumbers to install them. Plumbers that are comfortable with their system, know how to set it up, and will easily install it in your place. It's an additional fee, but it'll cost you anywhere from $200 to $450. And depending on the complexity of your underwater filtration system, you might have to have them come back and do additional cleaning or services. That's something I wasn't expecting. So I'll share with you the 2 brands that I have purchased. I've purchased one for my home and I purchased one for my parents' home. My parents have Citizen Water. Citizen is a water company in Costa Mesa, California. I really like them. A lot of or a few people from Pristine Hydro went over and worked at Citizen. The water filtration system's great. The water tastes great, and it doesn't take any maintenance. They come once a year or once every year and a half to change your filter. So you make an appointment, they come out for a very small service fee, change the filtration for you, double check to make sure everything's working correctly. It's so easy. I decided to go with Pristine Hydro with my home, and I cannot recommend it. It's been very high maintenance. It requires flushing and cleansing and maintenance every month. I've had to pay for a plumber to come out probably 4 times in less than a year, and I'll probably have to have them come out one more time. It's a very big system. So the Citizen system was much smaller and more easily fit under the sink. The Pristine Hydro system is much bigger and it required construction. They had to take down a wall to another cabinet because it doesn't just fit under the sink. It's been a lot. I definitely recommend Pristine Hydro's products, going to their location and getting the items that they sell, picking up their water, but the under the sink filtration system, you can hear it in my voice. It's been a lot. Get at your own risk. I love the people behind it, but the system just hasn't been as enjoyable as I was hoping it would be after my experience with Citizen, which was a plus. If you are in Orange County, 2 other water filtration spaces that my clients really love. One is called Well Alkaline Water. Well is located in Corona Del Mar. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you'll see that I posted about Well water because I filled up one of their large 5-gallon glass containers, and I bought this special little stand and spout that they have, and I took it with me when I went to Sedona. It served me so well having that large 5-gallon container in my hotel room and not having to go out and buy any water while I was traveling. I really like their little setup that they have. With Well, they specialize in alkaline water. I'm personally not a fan of alkaline water. I don't think our water is meant to be alkaline or a certain pH. Like with food, I think a variety of water is what we need. Just like with salt, a variety of salts are what we need. Like, we should not be living off Himalayan salt. We should not be living off Celtic sea salt. There's different minerals in salt from different places. So I think variety is the spice of life. And I think the same thing comes with water. So when I do purchase water from Well Alkaline, I do get the option with minerals. My clients are big fans of Well Alkaline. They do deliver their 5-gallon glass containers to your home. So if you are in Orange County, you can't do an under the sink filtration system, you don't have time to go out and get filtered water in 5-gallon glass containers, you can have it delivered to your home, and they'll set it up for you. It's really lovely. My clients have it and it's fantastic. So that's another option for you. And then lastly, another place that I've heard rave reviews about, not just because of the water quality, but because of the community that they have there. And that is the Water Brewery in Costa Mesa. So if you shop at Fermentation Farm or Filming at Buttercup, there's this amazing shopping center that's in Costa Mesa on the edge of Huntington Beach. And it is a wellness hot spot. So they have a new coffee shop going in. There's some really cute clothing stores. Like I mentioned, Fermentation Farms there, Philip Buttercups there, where you can get all your healthy, non-toxic cleaning products. And then the Water Brewery is there. And I hear the water's fantastic. They offer what they call structured water. And structured water, according to the Water Brewery, has health benefits. The structured water can provide increased energy, improve concentration, support a healthy immune system, help detoxify the body. and improve skin, complexion, and circulation. So they vortex and restructure their water, very similar to the way that you'll see the water done when you walk into pristine hydro. They vortex their water there, and it changes the taste and flavor and feeling of the water when you consume it. The water brewery, with their vortex and restructured water, they believe it holds the highest energy for your body and makes it easier for you to absorb the water. So if you are interested, I would check out the Water Brewery. Check them out on Instagram. They are there listed as the Water Brewery. I think they do a great job of teaching you about water and helping you to understand what to look for when you're figuring out your filtration system or water worth buying. So those are my options for you here in the Orange County area. There's some other water brands throughout the country that are really interesting. There's one out of Idaho, I believe it's called Apex Water, and it's ozonated water, and it is known as healing water. So they recommend you drink the water anytime you're sick or under the weather. They recommend if you have any cuts, you pour the water over the cuts, that because it's ozonated, which you can also make at home, it's incredibly, incredibly healing. It all is in glass jars and you have to buy in bulk. I've been really interested in exploring Apex Water further. So I would check them out when you get a chance. They're based out of Idaho. Very, very interesting. So I think that's enough on filtered water, but yes, please cook with filtered water as available. Soak your rice in it, wash your rice in it, wash your vegetables in it, blanch and steam your vegetables in it, make your soups out of it, make your bone broth out of it. It is what you're going to be eating and consuming. So might as well use the best every time you're working on any food related product that you're going to be consuming. So those are my thoughts on water and cooking with water. All right, what oils to cook and bake with? Another absolutely great question. I don't cook with very many oils or fats. It's very simple. So I use the traditional products: lard, tallow, organic raw butter, ghee, like an extra virgin olive oil, and coconut oil. So I'll say it again. The oils to cook and bake with, no exception: lard, tallow, organic raw butter, ghee, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil. I go with the traditional basics. So I love food history. I love learning about what my ancestors cooked with, how they cooked. And I had the opportunity to go up to the Historical Society in Santa Barbara. My dad has been a member for, I believe, my entire life. We're really into family history. And the last time we were there, I thought, after years of going to the Historical Society with my dad and always being bored, I finally realized I had something to do while I was there. And I asked for the oldest cookbooks that they had on record, the oldest cookbooks that they had for Santa Barbara. And Santa Barbara is one of the oldest communities in the state of California. That's where all my ancestors lived, 8 generations ago. So they were able to pull out for me a cookbook that was written in 1900 with recipes from the 1890s. And sure enough, they're cooking with lard and tallow. And there's extra virgin olive oil, or there's olive oil on there. Obviously, no coconut oil. I didn't see much with butter. Ghee or clarified butter is, not necessarily traditional to the United States. It's definitely popular in certain parts of Europe and Asia. But the lard and tallow is like the #1 cooking tool. And what I thought was really interesting in these cookbooks, I looked up, they had a bone broth recipe from 1890. And the way they described that they cooked the bone broth was they let it simmer all day long. So their water, their bones out in a large pot on the fire, cooking all day. And at the end of the day, as the sun's setting, they put out the fire. And here in California, when you're on the coast, it gets cold at night. And they would leave the pot of bone broth out all night to cool. And when you would wake up in the morning, there'd be a layer of fat on top. So in most bone broth recipes you see nowadays, they always talk about during the first hour of cooking, you're simmering the broth and you're removing the fat from the top as it cooks over the first hour. In these old recipes that I was reading, they never removed the fat from the broth. They just let it cook so that in the morning when everything solidifies and the fat is all settled on top, they can take the fat off and use it for cooking oil. So you get so much more out of the process of making bone broth. You're also getting nice, healthy fat you can now use in cooking for weeks at a time. When you cook with lard and tallow, you don't need very much. It's a very strong taste. I only use animal fats when I'm cooking with animal meat. So if I'm sauteing ground beef for a taco salad, if I'm making shepherd's pie and sauteing ground lamb or bison, anytime I'm cooking meat in a pan, even if it's steaks in a cast iron skillet, that's when I use the lard or tallow. I found after experimenting a bit, it's too heavy of a flavor for me personally to roast vegetables. It's heavy, it's dense, it's very rich. It's not for me. If I'm roasting vegetables, I prefer to stick with extra virgin olive oil. Sometimes I'll experiment with butter, but I really prefer the lightness of the extra virgin olive oil. You can also use coconut oil. I love roasting green beans with coconut oil and a little garlic and ginger. Really, really nice. They get a great browning. One thing that I do not cook with are obviously seed oils, and I do not cook with avocado oil because I consider it a modern oil. Avocado was not around when I was a kid. Avocado wasn't around for my mom, for my grandma. Avocado seems to be a new industrial oil. I think there's still a lot to learn about the oil. What's different about avocado oil is it's not coming from the seed, it's coming from the skin. So I love learning about the history of food and when things were developed and why. And when it comes to the avocado oil, it seems that when guacamole became more industrialized, and I say that with finger quotes, meaning, there was a time that if you wanted guacamole, you needed to make it yourself, because the only way that the guacamole stays green is when you add an acid to it, such as lime juice or lemon juice. And you really want to eat it right away. If you put it back into the fridge, even with the avocado pit in it, it's ultimately going to brown. Nowadays, you can go to supermarkets everywhere. You can go to Costco and you can get guacamole. Some will say that citric acid is added. Some won't say citric acid is added, but it has to be added in order to preserve the coloring, to stop it from browning, so it looks edible to you. So if we think about factories, food factories making all this guacamole, the skin and the seeds have to go somewhere, probably in the trash. And when you look at businesses and you think about the profit and loss of businesses, they're always looking for new ways to make sales and grow. So in my personal opinion, you're throwing away all these avocado skins and avocado seeds. You want to try to figure out something that you can do with them, a way that you can resell them or reuse them to continue to grow your profits. And I think that's where avocado oil kicked in. So to me, it's a modern, untraditional oil. So it's something that I avoid. If you're curious and interested and you think it is right for you and the wave of the future, go forth and enjoy. I have just found that in my short time here on the planet, when there are new food products that come to market, best to let other people experience and figure it out and stick to what's real, traditional, whole. Other examples would be margarine, or I can't believe it's not butter, processed vegan butters, processed vegan meats, artificial sugars, Equal, Splenda. You know, I just learned from watching the food industry in the 90s and the early 2000s, it's better not to participate with these newfangled food products because the truth about them is always revealed. And for now, I'm going to pass on purchasing the avocado oil. I'm going to stick with what's traditional. And when I mention those cooking oils, always look for organic or look for one that's made with organic or biodynamic processes. So it doesn't always have to be labeled organic, because going through the process of getting labeled organic it just takes money, and not all health-minded producers of these great quality ingredients can afford that type of third-party authentication. So read the labels, see how they're sourcing the product, what their mindset is, the quality that they're trying to get to you, and make the best decision that you can when you purchase these items. And of course, always look for items that come in glass over plastic. That also will show you a different level of quality. All right, that was a lot. I hope you're still with me. Let's move on to our next question. Favorite baking sheets. These are really good questions. Thank you to everyone who wrote in. Really interesting question. So favorite baking sheet. So I don't have a favorite baking sheet. Baking sheets tend to be, or what you're looking for is an aluminum sheet, because aluminum is the best contractor of heat. It's the most even contractor of heat. So if you have an aluminum baking sheet, it's going to be evenly spreading heat and holding heat throughout the pan, versus other metals that cannot or do not evenly conduct the heat. Aluminum is best. So if you want to have cookies that come out perfectly, meaning every cookie is rising and baking consistently instead of having a few that are finished and a few that still look raw. If you're having that problem, you're not using an aluminum baking sheet. So switch to aluminum. With that said, aluminum is toxic. So old traditional baking sheets were aluminum. But that's why you have to use parchment paper, because you need to have something that separates your food from touching the baking sheet. So you can't just use any parchment paper. You need to look for unbleached parchment paper. So your parchment paper should be brown. It should not be white with the Reynolds name on it. You're looking for a clean, healthy, non-toxic parchment paper. I love the brand If You Care. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them at Target. You can find them at Whole Foods, Mother's Market, Erewhon, just about everywhere. What they have that I absolutely love are pre-cut sheets. So you'll see them in a roll. There's a few other brands that have them on Amazon as well. And it just makes pulling out parchment and putting it down on your baking sheet even easier. There are so many different baking sheet options. And as a personal chef, I have the pleasure of cooking with everybody else's kitchen equipment and figuring out what I like. So I've used all the nonstick baking sheets, all the beautiful gold ones from Williams Sonoma, all the ones from Sur La Table. I've used all different sizes and traditional aluminum ones in restaurants. And I have found that they're kind of all the same because I'm always putting parchment paper down. So I just buy my baking sheets now at Chef Toys. So nothing fancy at all. I buy the two different sizes. I buy the little small half sheet size and then the traditional size, but no favorite baking sheet. What I am experimenting with, because I'm just constantly trying to reduce my exposure to chemicals and toxins, I have invested in some baking dishes from Extrema Cookware. So if you look back at the podcast, you'll see earlier in 2002, I did a podcast interview with Extrema Cookware, and it's the most non-toxic cookware on the market. It's clay. It's super traditional cookware. And I bought a really large baking, more of like a baking dish, similar to like a large Pyrex dish. And I was going to experiment with roasting my vegetables in that, just because I can cover my vegetables with butter, coconut oil, or extra virgin olive oil, season them up with some of my beautiful spices, and then put it straight into the oven. And that way I don't have to mess with the aluminum baking sheet. I don't have to mess with parchment paper. That's the new thing that I'm going to experiment on. But at the end of the day, we need baking sheets because it has that very, very low rim. It allows for things to get brown faster. It allows for even cooking. There's really only one way to bake those beautiful chocolate chip cookies or to broil a small piece of fish. You really, really want to be doing that on a baking sheet. So that is my rundown on baking sheets. I probably didn't answer your question there, but that is how I think about baking sheets. There's no perfect answer there, but maybe we'll see something come out in the future that is more health supportive. All right, next question. Thoughts on how much protein to consume daily in women over 40? I think at all stages of life, men and women wonder how much they're supposed to be eating, how much they're supposed to be eating the vegetables, of carbohydrates, proteins. I think sometimes we overthink it all. But I think you need to just pay attention to your body, especially women, because how much protein you need kind of changes every week. Gabby Reese did a great podcast episode in 2002 or 2022, I should say. Just a few months ago, she did a great podcast episode where she interviewed a doctor about how much protein women should eat. And it's related to your weight. That was really helpful. A lot of people have always recommended one serving is the size of your hand. That can be helpful. But I think you just need to fill it out. If you're hungry, eat the 6-ounce piece of salmon. It's not going to hurt you versus eating the 3-ounce piece of salmon. I think we just got to stop creating rules and eat when you're hungry and don't eat when you're not. And I often find that more is better than less. Nothing serves you well when you're restricting, because like you'll hear in my podcast episode with Chef Elliott, then the boomerang effect happens, right? So the more you constrict, you'll boomerang back the opposite direction and the more you'll indulge. So I think you just need to surrender and eat what you need and know that's going to change every day and get over it. You're going to be okay. All right, next question. Recommendations on sleep and how to get the best sleep. I love this question, and I'm so happy to talk to you about this. So most of my life, I have always been a great sleeper and have slept very, very well. The last 6 months of my life has been the only time in my life I haven't been sleeping well. And there's a few things that affect that. So number one that I do which I think will help you, is I turn off all my technology before I go to bed. So that means I turn off my cell phone and I unplug the Wi-Fi. I literally pull it out of the wall. Super easy to do. It's not a meltdown situation. The next morning, as soon as I decide that I need to get on my computer or get on the Wi-Fi on my cell phone, I just plug it back into the wall. You give it 1 minute, and then you turn on your devices and you're good to go. So if you can, turn off your cell phone every night, have it out of your bedroom, turn off your Wi-Fi, and have absolutely zero technology in the bedroom. Don't even have it in your bathroom, like get it out. And then consider, if you're in a 2-story structure, what is below your bedroom? Is that the room where the Wi-Fi router is? Is that a room where there's a printer? Turn off the printer. Try to turn off all technology in the home before you go to bed. Now, there are certain things that we can't turn off. So we can't unplug our refrigerator, our oven. If you have a microwave, if you have a dishwasher, though, that's technology now. And there's Wi-Fi built in to our kitchen equipment now. It's really important that people know this. So as they keep rolling the stuff out, we all need to get in this together and say, no, we do not want Wi-Fi in our refrigerator, and we do not want Wi-Fi in our dishwasher, because this technology is going to affect our health in our home. So with that in mind, turn off as much technology as possible before you go to bed at night. Go ahead and order an old school alarm clock. I ordered one from McGee & Co. They have some really cute alarm clocks on there. If you look at their alarm clocks, it'll lead you to a great alarm clock company. I can message you guys later and let you know the brand that I chose. It's super easy to use. I sometimes have the alarm clock in my bedroom. I sometimes move it to my bathroom because I can still hear it. I move it around, but it's really easy to set. And, you know, I'm not missing using my cell phone as an alarm clock. So highly, highly suggest. Other little things that you can do: don't have sugar at night. Sugar will often keep you up, especially if you eat chocolate. So chocolate has caffeine in it, so it will keep you up. We actually talked a lot about this in culinary school, because one of my culinary teachers and the Ayurveda specialist in my culinary school, he loved having a piece of chocolate after dinner every night. But he knew that if he had it too late, he wouldn't be able to sleep. And you can experiment on yourself. It's absolutely true that caffeine will keep you wired. So if you're going to have the chocolate after dinner, I would suggest trying to have it by like 6 o'clock and no later. If you just want that flavor and don't care about the caffeine, I would consider having carob. Carob is actually more health supportive as well. There's more minerals. It still has that deep nutty flavor, but carob is from a pod. Look into carob. It's super health supportive. It's a great supplement for chocolate. But that's another thing that might be keeping you wired. Other things that you can do is sleep in a cold room. We all know that we sleep so much better in the wintertime than we do in those hot, stuffy summertime seasons. So a cold room really helps. Obviously, a dark room, making sure you have all your lights off. Those would be my top tips. Another thing that I have been doing recently, and I would love for you to try and let me know your feedback, is a cod liver oil pack. Not cod liver oil. Oh, now I'm blanking on the name. Castor oil. There we go. I do a castor oil pack. Probably do one every 3 nights. I should probably even up it, because really the best night's sleep is when I do the castor oil pack. So Paris Hodges, who I've had on the podcast, she's the one that turned me on to the Queen of Thrones flannel packs. So I avoided doing these castor oil packs for years because it sounded very complicated. And most people recommend taking a piece of flannel, soaking it in the castor oil, putting it on your body where your liver is, and then wrapping yourself in saran wrap and then putting an old t-shirt on. And I really did not want the saran wrap wrapped around my body. That just didn't seem health supportive to me. So there's a brand called Queen of Thrones, and it's a really lovely flannel pack that you can tie around your body. So you put the castor oil on the pack, you tie it around your body, you put your old t-shirt on. If you want to, you can put a little heating element over your liver, and you wear it for an hour. You can wear it when you sleep at night, but I can feel it on my body and annoys me and stops me from sleeping well. So I usually just put it on for an hour in the evening when I'm meditating or just relaxing or watching a TV show. Take it off before you go to bed and you will sleep so well. I mean, I really suggest try it first on a Friday or Saturday night when you can go to bed without setting an alarm clock. Like, you'll be out for 8 to 10 hours easy. I highly suggest. Again, the product's called Queen of Thrones. You can purchase it on Amazon. And when you purchase the castor oil, which is separate, you must buy organic castor oil. Remember, your body absorbs everything. Like, that's what's happening with the castor oil pack, is your body, your skin, your liver is absorbing the minerals and the nutrients from the castor oil. You will sleep so well. Another thing that you can do is a salt bath. So you can do Epsom salts, you can do Dead Sea salts, any type of salt that you want. You want to do 2 cups in the bath, and you want to sit there for at least 20 minutes. So always remember, 2 cups of salt, 20 minutes, you're good to go. You can stay longer if you like. I always like to add a little bit of coconut oil into the bath, so that way when you get out, you don't have to moisturize. And then I always add an essential oil. And the essential oils I add when I do this bath are ones that I choose for energetic protection. So I use the Thieves oil blend. Thieves is great for protecting your body from colds and flus and viruses and diseases and negative energy. I also will do a sage. So just like you sage yourself, I'll use an essential oil sage. I can buy there's a variety out there. You can buy Spanish sage, you can buy California sage. I add a few drops in there, and that does a great job of just strengthening your energetic shield. And then I like to do rosemary as well. Rosemary is just antibacterial. So it's just great for your skin, for your toes, for your fingernails, for like every part of your body. Rosemary is fantastic. So those are the 3 that I mainly use in the bath. Obviously, lavender is always lovely as well. Chamomile is super healing. You can get a chamomile essential oil that's very, very healing for the body and the immune system. So try the salt baths and take those extra steps of putting a little coconut oil and essential oil in, and that will help you sleep better as well. This question asks about supplements, herbs, and bedtime rituals as well. So I used to be really good about turning off technology at 8 o'clock and doing meditations and a wind down routine. Your body really likes routine and rituals to help it get ready for bed. And as I sigh, I've been focused so much on growing Starseed Kitchen, my organic spices, working on this beautiful podcast, that I have not been doing that, but I still have been sleeping relatively well. But that's one of my goals, is to get back to those bedtime rituals and getting off of technology by 8 o'clock. That always helps anyone sleep better. Supplements, there's only one natural herbal supplement that I've used that really helps with sleep. And I found the supplement through the brand Organic India. Let me see while I'm chatting with you guys if I can look up what that product is. I want to say it's like kava or something along that lines. They have it as a tea and they have it as a separate supplement. So let's see if we can find it. I'm not seeing it. I'm pretty sure it's called like kava. You just put a little bit in boiling water. It tastes awful. It's super bitter, but my brother and I did an experiment one night. And to give you guys some reference, I'm about 5'6" and my brother is 6'7". So you have two completely different body types. We both took a little bit of the natural herb powder, mixed it with water, drank it. And I think we were both in bed 30 minutes later. It really worked. I love all of Organic India's teas. So they have, everything's done with tulsi, which is holy basil. Their teas are really, really delightful. Another thing that I love taking is ashwagandha. So I'll just take a little bit of ashwagandha, again, mix it with water. I think I'm going to have some after I chat with you guys. That sounds really nice. And again, I only take it when I'm kind of craving it or feel like my body needs extra support to calm down. And I love the brand Sun Potion for my ashwagandha. I've been buying that brand long before it became the crave. Gosh, I think I started buying them around 2013, 2014, but huge fan. I've only ever bought their ashwagandha. Same with Organic India. I've always been a fan of their holy basil tulsi teas, especially their tulsi with rose. Yeah, those are the products that I like to help me wind down. And then of course you can take some magnesium. So there's a variety of magnesium supplements out there that are supportive. And then to connect this back to our conversation about water, you can do Pristine Hydro has a magnesium supplement. It's a powder. You mix it with sparkling water, which you can get at their location, or you can get, at a grocery store. And the sparkling water activates the magnesium, and then you have a little liquid potion that you can take every night that will help you sleep. So I hope that is helpful. Let's see, favorite supplements in general that I've had success with, and do I take any? So yes, I take supplements and it's always changing. And funny enough, I recently spoke with Dr. Emily Diadamo. Dr. Emily Diadamo, you'll see that in the list of podcast episodes that I have. Dr. Emily is the daughter of Dr. Diadamo, who created Eating Right for Your Blood Type. They have an excellent selection of really high quality supplements. They are Dr. Emily's third generation naturopath. So they're really passionate about herbs, botanicals, whole foods, natural healing. So that's a great resource to turn to. And if you listen to that podcast episode, she talks about how you can do an analysis with them. All they use is your saliva, which I think is amazing. They are able to look at all your genes. They research all your genes that come up in this test, and then they're able to put together a list of all the foods that are actually supportive for you. And that will include herbs and supplements. I'm at a point personally that I need to reconnect with a naturopathic doctor or some sort of physician to kind of see where my body's at and what it really needs, if it needs anything. And the one thing that I've learned over the years is it's better to take nothing at all than to take the wrong thing, because you don't want to be choosing a potent, low quality product and putting it into your body, because you don't know how that's going to affect your digestive system, your skin, your liver, variety of your organs. It's just not worth it. So I'm really a big fan of getting second opinions. I think self-diagnosis is great, but if you're unsure of your self-diagnosis, there's so many amazing, passionate, health supportive, focused physicians out there right now that really want to help you get on the right path. It just takes time to research them, but they're out there. So that's where I'm at with that. Most recently, I'll tell you what I've been taking most recently, if that's helpful at all. I've taken MitoLife's vitamin E and vitamin K to support the detoxification of excess estrogen and iron in my body. I have taken on and off Nutrafol. And I, of course, take a variety of organ meat supplements. So liver, spleen, and lung are the 3 different organ meat supplements that I've consumed, and I still do. And then I don't take a probiotic every day. I am a big fan of fermented vegetables. I love fermented vegetables from Goldmine. If you guys have been following me a while on Instagram, you'll have seen that I used to always post breakfast bowls or sweet potato bowls with greens and tahini and beautiful sauerkraut from Goldmine. Huge fan of them. You can order them online. They have their garlic kraut, which I love. They have a beautiful red cabbage kraut. They have a beautiful turmeric and carrot kraut. I really, really suggest their fermented vegetables. And then if you're here in Orange County, we're lucky enough to have access to Fermentation Farm. So I buy a turmeric kimchi from Fermentation Farm. I buy garlic kraut, cilantro kraut, regular kraut, fermented beets, fermented jicama. There's a lot that I go with. Huge fan of that. So when I have those natural probiotics, I don't supplement. But I do have the probiotics, especially for when I travel, because I'm under a lot more stress. Traveling can be stressful. So whether it's a road trip or I'm flying, I do pack supplements, and there's always different brands that I use. Like with everything, variety is the spice of life. So I used Seed for many years. I've taken a break now for a year. I now use Dr. Amy Myers. One of my clients turned me on to them. One of my clients used to actually work with Dr. Amy Myers directly when she still saw patients. Huge fan of her supplements and her probiotics. I've done MitoLife's probiotics. Those are the 2 brands that I have now, and I just use them when I know I need them. Whew. But that is all I have on the supplements. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. I feel like I'm a bit long-winded, but enthusiastic about everything that we're talking about today. And I think I'll just wrap it up with one more question for you guys, and the rest I'll move to next time. This question is, what green powders do I use? What vitamin C do I use? What are my thoughts on functional mushrooms and adaptogens? This person who wrote in says they've been experimenting and they think they are helping, and I think that is fantastic. I completely agree. When you use a high quality product and you use it fresh, so you've bought adaptogens or functional mushrooms or a greens powder, and you use it within 60, 90 days, that is ideal. You know, the longer something sits on the shelf, the more it loses its functional support. So just like with spices, and you guys know, with Starseed Kitchen and High Vibration Foods and my organic spice blends, like I'm super passionate about that organic and non-irradiated spices are superfoods, but you want to use them quickly. Ground spices, you really want to use within a year. Same with all these beautiful supplements and products that we're all buying, the green powders, the vitamin C, the functional mushrooms, the adaptogens, use them. They aren't supposed to be sitting in your cabinet looking pretty or on your kitchen counter. Use them up. You can always buy more. So with greens powders, I have to be honest, I threw all my green powders away because they all had citric acid, and citric acid is MSG. It is preservative. So I don't use any green powders anymore. If I want a green powder, which I don't really need because I eat vegetables, but if I want a green powder, I'll just go straight for spirulina, chlorella, a blue-green algae. There's a lot of different options on the market. So I keep a little spirulina and chlorella one at a time in my pantry. And in the rare occasion that I am making a smoothie, I will add that in. I don't make smoothies much anymore. Smoothies are cooling. So if you're going to have them, you really only want to have them in the summertime, but they're also very cooling to digestion. They put out the digestive fire, and they are a modern food. No one was making smoothies, 50, 60 years ago. People just weren't using their blenders in that way. And their blenders weren't necessarily high powered enough to be blending all these frozen foods. So I consider smoothies a treat. I don't consider it an everyday food, but if it's working for you, keep going. But double check your green powder ingredients. You want to make sure you're just getting the ingredients, that you aren't getting any citric acid, any preservatives, any fillers, any coloring, any natural flavors. That was the biggest bummer. I had to throw out everything that said natural flavors because that's MSG. You don't even know what's in that. So I threw them all out. And if you want to make yourself a green powder or a protein powder, just mix ground flaxseed or psyllium husk, chia seeds, spirulina, chlorella, you're good to go. When it comes to vitamin C, I do keep vitamin C around. It's a great supplement. There's always reasons to up the ante on vitamin C, but I only choose whole food vitamin C. So I look for Camu Camu powder. So CAMU, Camu Camu. Camu Camu is a fruit from South America, and it's the most vitamin C rich fruit on the planet. And I've actually been buying Camu Camu powder. Gosh, I think I started buying it in like 2005 or 6. There was one random brand that had it. It wasn't in the vitamin section. It was in like the superfood section back then. Now you'll only see it in the vitamin section. And it's super sweet. Like I didn't know what to do with it back then. I would add it to smoothies. It was really nice with a smoothie with orange and citrus because it's very tart. So it supports those flavor profiles. So the way that I take the vitamin C is I do the root cause protocol mineral. It's like a mineral shot or a hydration shot. So I mix the Camu Camu powder, a 1/4 teaspoon, with a 1/4 teaspoon real sea salt and a 1/4 teaspoon cream of tartar, because cream of tartar is potassium. So you got the vitamin C, the potassium, the sea salt. I mix it with water, drink it up, and then I squeeze some fresh lemon or lime juice and drink that. Or I'll do what I just told you, 1/4 of vitamin C, potassium, sea salt, and I'll mix it with a little orange juice, fresh squeezed, always fresh squeezed, so you don't get that citric acid. That's how I take the vitamin C. And then of course, I have it for travel, have it for whenever you're feeling run down. It's always a nice one to have around the house. But when you use Camu Camu powder, like when you're using a real whole food, it can start to cake because there's no citric acid, there's no caking agents, there's no chemicals, making sure that it stays a powder. So as it's exposed to moisture, it will harden. So you want to buy it in small packages and use it frequently. Functional mushrooms. I hear great things about them. It's never really been my thing. As someone that's had candida before, I just avoid moldy foods. Doesn't mean I never eat a mushroom. I just don't eat them very much. I hear great things about lion's mane. I think we talked about lion's mane in my podcast with Dr. Emily Diadamo. I think we talked about it towards the end, and the benefits of lion's mane and how it helps with digestion and with gut health. So very interesting. You can check out that episode for more about that. And then adaptogens, like I mentioned before, huge fan of ashwagandha. It really helps calm the nervous system. And then I also keep moringa in the pantry just because it has so many nutrients. It's very nutrient dense, and a lot of amino acids. It's a good one to keep around as well. And I think that's enough for you guys today. I think I crammed in a lot of great questions, and hopefully I provided you guys with the answers that you were looking for, or have made you guys think a little bit deeper about these topics. So you start looking into finding the answers that resonate with you. But these were great questions today, and I love being a part of learning with you guys and sharing information with you guys. So please keep the questions coming. There's so much more here that I want to answer. Next time I connect with you guys on the podcast in a solo episode, I'll talk to you guys about coffee with filtered water, coffee with mushrooms, functional coffee. We can break down the best chocolates to cook with and eat. And we can talk about how to properly clean your cast iron skillet, your Dutch oven, and any additional specialty tools that I love having in the kitchen. So we'll connect again very soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share this episode with your friends or your family. Be sure to subscribe to the High Vibration Living podcast on iHeart Radio, Apple, or Spotify. By subscribing, you really support the podcast and helps me be able to keep bringing this information to you. You can always find me on Instagram and YouTube at Whitney Aronoff for more high vibration content. And if you want to learn more about my organic spice blends, you can go to starseedkitchen.com. And these are the same beautiful, organic, high vibration blends that I use as a personal chef in my clients' kitchens. And thank you again for being a part of the High Vibration Living community. Stay well, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys again soon. Cheers.